Hello friends, I'm Rosa, welcome. So we are talking September TBR. Today I will just give you guys a quick disclaimer. It's a bit late, so I have to be just a little bit more quiet than usual because my neighbors are probably sleeping next door, but I'm going away for a couple of days from tomorrow and I'll be gone until past the 1st of September, so I really wanted to get the TBR video out before the first of the month, as I mostly do 90% of the time, 95%. Anyway, so volume wise I'm gonna be a little bit more quiet than I usually am. We're gonna be a little bit more subdued, but I have 10 books to talk about today. September is this kind of weird month of the year, so I like to often include reads that I feel are a little bit inspired by the season, and September for me is usually a fall month because fall in Denmark starts pretty early, but it's still like 20 degrees outside Celsius for the Americans who are probably sitting there confused, and no, I do not know how much that is in Fahrenheit. I can't help you. But 20 for us in Denmark is summer, and so I am seasonally confused, but I've tried to include at least a couple of books that I feel will be fitting for a more like fall vibe, if you will. So, and aside from that, book club picks, read along picks as well. So yeah, let's get into it. We're going to talk about the first one, which is the book club's primary pick. And if you want to join the book club, there's a link to it at the top of in the pinned comment. There's a link to it in the pinned comment. So our primary pick for September is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I remember writing the post about it on there and almost writing The Reappearance of Holly Jackson. Where'd you go? I don't know. I don't actually fully know what this is about because there's a lot of books that I like to not really know anything about before I go into them. Holly Jackson is an author that I trust because I loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the whole trilogy. And so I might have skimmed the synopsis just for the book club because I'm pretty sure that book was suggested by someone else. I think it was Kim. Who I keep mentioning on the channel. Hello. And so I just wanted to make sure that it would fit with us, but skimming is not the same as like reading and remembering, so I don't really remember exactly what it's about, to be honest. I know that it's a YA and it's a mystery, and it's by Holly Jackson, and it's been very well received. Seems like a lot of people have been loving this book, so I'm very excited to be reading it. Yeah, Rachel's gone, long presumed dead, and Bill wishes everyone would just move on. But then she reappears. So I feel like it's in the title. It's in the title. We're gonna have fun with this. I can't wait to go into a new mystery by Holly Jackson. It's gonna be a great time. This is not the secondary. Oh right, I have a book as well. It's a secondary pick, so we turn it into a read along and then we read it as well throughout the month, but it's like split up into 4 parts. And the one that was the secondary pick was the Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole, which is the romantasy, and it's a rather thick one. It's like, I think the paperback is closing in on 600 pages. So I remember being like, oh, I kind of hope they don't choose that for the primary pick because it's a lot to cover. But at the same time, I'm like, our romantasy primary picks have been pretty solid. So this has so many good reviews, which is the primary reason that I picked it, and the fact that it is romantasy, which I love. I love romantasy, so I want to read all like popular, well-received romantasy books. But the synopsis has always confused me. World Ender meets Ender of Worlds, and this is why I'm reading it, because it's always confused me. 1,000 years ago, Diana gave up her life in the deserts of Eoria to save her dying sister. She called upon anyone who would listen, not expecting a monster far worse than any nightmare to answer. Now she does what Caden asks, even if that means securing an ancient relic from the very creatures that hunt her. A king thought long dead and long forgotten. So I think this synopsis is a little bit weird. In the old world, his name was Samkyo. In the new world, it is Liam, but one title remains true throughout time. He is the World Ender, a myth to his enemies, a savior and king to those loyal to him. After the gods' war, he locked himself away, hiding from the world. He denied his crowns and responsibilities, leaving the very ones who needed him most to deal with the fallout of the death of their homeworld. Now an attack on those he holds dear sends him back to the one realm he never wished to visit again, and into the sights of an enemy he thought imprisoned eons ago. Now enemies older than time must put aside their differences and work together in hopes of saving both their world and every realm in between. So it's like long time enemies enemies, but I'm very confused about the world ender and the ender, like the whole, that thing. I'm confused about it, so I hope to get some answers to to my confusement. I hope to get it sorted at least while reading it. But anyway, we got a new one, Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mara, possibly. Like, as a Dane, I want to pronounce that A, and so I'm calling it Mara, but I don't know if that's correct. This is the sequel to Assistant to the Villain. I was like, what is the title again? Assistant to the Villain, which was pretty fun. It's like romantasy, but very heavy on comedy, and I was about to say it's almost like satire, but I don't feel like it is. Anyway, so in that one we follow our lead girl who is the assistant to a villain, and his name is like, well, his name is actually said at some point in the book, but his like title is the villain throughout the majority of the book. And she works for him, she works for the villain, she is his assistant. That is the thing. He has this like whole, I don't want to call it an enterprise, but it's almost like a company. Like they work in a castle and plan villainous things that he has to like, you know, do. It's basically his job. His job is to be the villain and like terrorize the king and stuff. And she's his assistant. Yes, it's pretty funny. And so as it turns out though, there's a mole in the company. There's someone who's giving away their secrets and plans to the king, I think it is. And our lead girl has been tasked with the job to figure out who it is, who's telling the secrets, who's giving away their plans, who's the mole. And so that's what the first book was. I'm expecting this to be about her apprenticeship, her learning how to be a villain, I suppose, so they can be like a villain duo. I think the title to the third book has already been announced, but I don't remember it. So, but I'm guessing it's like the step after Apprentice, whatever that is. Oh, it hasn't. It just says Assistant to the Villain Book 3. So I don't know. Anyway, I guess we'll know soon enough. Then we have a witchy book, which is one that I feel witchy is like fall vibes to me. So that's both September and October and also November. And so I had to include some. Bring Me Your Midnight by Rachel Griffin, which is her third book. I have loved the previous two, so The Nature of Witches and also Wildest the Witch. It's the first title that doesn't include the word witch. I'm pretty sure she's announced a fourth one as well, but I can't remember the title of it. The other two have taken place in our world, but in like secluded areas in our world, so not like, don't think like urban fantasy per se, but definitely like our world fantasy. Whereas this one has a whole map, so I'm guessing it does not take place in our world for a change. I could be wrong though, I could be wrong. This could be like a fictional place in our world. Who knows? So this book is about our lead girl who is in a bit of an unfortunate position. So she is a part of a coven that basically, I think they're tasked with like making sure the sea doesn't go completely crazy. There are humans as well who don't have magical powers, and the coven of witches and the humans don't necessarily get along that well. However, she has been promised a way to the governor's son. His name is Landon. And so in an attempt to kind of like form some kind of peace between her people and the normal people that do not have magic, they're supposed to get married. However, during a ritual, she messes something up and it doesn't actually get completed. And so this whole thing with the sea and stuff, it's going a little bit like not to plan. And then a guy shows up, and I saw his name is Wolf. I'm getting acquainted with the name. Tana, Landon, and Wolf. He shows up and he's like, listen, I know forbidden magic. I can teach you and we can sort this thing out together. But it does mean, and this magic is like doing something good for her, whereas her magic would usually just be like let into the sea in a way. And so she's kind of torn between staying around him and feeling good and using her magic for something that actually has a purpose to her, or marrying, which I feel like as well, putting it into the scene, like having that under control would also have a purpose, but it's fine. Or marrying the other guy, Landon, and just securing peace between the coven and the humans. And so she's in a bit of a, it's not an easy position to be in. So it's about that story, her story. I'm so bummed out that I got this like a year after I purchased it, and I don't have the first edition art on it, and I'm so bummed out because I do on the other two and I really wanted the third one to match. I don't know what happened. It took a whole year. Like, I do not know. I don't know what happened. Anyway, next up we have the third in a series. So Escaping from Houdini by Cara Maniscalco, which is the third book in the Jack the Ripper series. So we have Jack the Ripper and also Hunting Dracula, I think the sequel is called. It's been a long while since I read those two, so I might have to brush up on a couple of things before jumping into this one, but I really want to finish the series. So I think I'm gonna read this one in September and then continue on with Capturing the Devil in October. So I feel like these would fit with fall because mysteries, and you know, also a little bit of historical fiction in this because they take place like in our world but like a while ago. Does it actually say what, 1889? Is that where it takes place? Yeah, I think so. I cannot tell you what this is about because it's the third one, although I'm guessing this has something to do with Houdini, whereas the first one was like these two people that don't necessarily get along that well have to team up to find out who is murdering people around London at the same time as Jack the Ripper is on his spree. And so, you know, that's why it's like stalking Jack the Ripper, finding out who Jack the Ripper is. So it's kind of like a retelling of, it's not a story, but it's kind of like a retelling of that, or at least inspired by it. The sequel has to do with ties to our characters, but also takes place in Romania, I think, and then has something to do with vampires and Dracula. And I'm guessing this has something to do with Houdini, but like I don't really know. Audrey Rose Wadsworth and Thomas Cresswell. Oh, they're going to America. Yeah, because the first one is London. So I wonder where Capturing the Devil takes place then. Because I feel like they should take place in 4 different places, right? The voyage quickly descends into a horror show when young women begin turning up dead. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure Houdini didn't Houdini murdered someone? I don't know, anyway, we're gonna have a fun time with this. YA as well. One of my 24 for 2024 books is Blood of Elves by Andrzej Sapkowski, which is the first one in the Witcher saga, technically the first book, because there's 5 books in the saga itself, and this is the first one. And I have read Sword of Destiny and The Last Wish, and it's just taken me a long while to actually get started with the series, but I promised myself that I was going to do it in 2024, so we're running out of months, okay? We're running out of months. We gotta get to it. And for some reason I feel like this would fit, and I'm really excited to get into it. Like this is the thing. The 24 for 2024 books are basically books that I'm like super excited to read, or sequels that I'm super excited to read, but that I just have a very hard time convincing myself to actually get started because I keep reading everything else. I keep reading all the books that I don't have as my first priority. It makes no sense. Like, I don't know why I'm like this, but I am. So this is one of my first priorities, but I just continuously push it. I gotta get better at that, I know. But I don't actually know what the series itself is about, because mostly when I hear people talk about The Witcher, they talk about The Last Wish, which is a short story of Geralt the Witcher. He's a mutant things have been done to him, so he's good at like hunting monsters and stuff. I'm pretty sure most of you have seen the Netflix series by now. So it always feels, is that a massive spider? Oh no. I'm having a slight meltdown because I'm pretty sure that's a spider, and I completely lost where I'm at with the synopsis in this, but or for this, but pretty sure we get into, you know, Ciri and her background and a little bit more about, well, elves, because that has to do with that, and also possibly, what's it called, the Wild Hunt, is that what it's called? I feel like that's not what it's called. Something Hunt, is it Wild Hunt? I can't remember, but anyway, so as the threat of war hangs over the land, Geralt of Rivia must protect the child of prophecy, Ciri, from those who are hunting her for the extraordinary powers she holds. So anyway, we're gonna have some fun with the series. Hopefully. Anyway, I have a couple of romances as well. So Wild at Heart by K.A. Tucker, which is the sequel to The Simple Wild, which is about a girl who is contacted. She hasn't seen her father for like the longest time. He lives in Alaska, she lives in somewhere in a city in Canada. And he is living there working as a pilot. And so one day an acquaintance of his calls her and basically says like, hey, your father's sick. I know that you don't really have a good relationship with him, but maybe you'd like to help him through this sick time for him. It could really help him out as well. And so she decides to actually, she agrees and she goes to Alaska to be a little bit closer and get to know her father. And when she gets there, she's warned before she goes, she's warned by her mother, do not fall for any of the pilots. And so she goes, and on arrival, this pilot guy is like super rude to her girl, and he continues being so, but like they're also kind of like butting heads in a way, like there's some kind of tension there. So it's about them, but it's also about her relationship with her father, and it's surprisingly emotional. I don't necessarily love the dude though. I think he's condescending. I think he's a very quick judge of character. Like he judges people way too quickly and on a lot of superficial things. And I just don't really love that. I don't love the message that it sends either. So, because he doesn't really necessarily get better. He's condescending. I don't know. So we'll see if it gets better in the sequel. Then we have The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is a YA fantasy, and I think it has, isn't there? Yes. Kingdoms of Wales. So it does have like inspiration from Welsh legends, it says, which is super exciting. So in this book we follow Mare, who is the world's last water diviner, which means she has the powers to manipulate water, and she has been used by the spy master hired by the king to basically deal with people. But this is a while ago, and so she's surprised when one day the spy master shows up on her doorstep and is like, I have a proposition for you. How about we team up and take down the king together, because he too was not treated well by the king. Mare never did any of that stuff on purpose. It wasn't from her own free will. She was forced to do it. And so when the spy master shows up, she's kind of like, you know what? I could be convinced. And so they gather a little group to carry out this task of taking down the king. And that's what it's about. I don't know, the bone houses that Emily Lloyd Jones also wrote kind of give me fall vibes a little bit, so I'm thinking hopefully this is in the same sort of, like hopefully this will give me some of the same vibes, but we'll see about it though, we'll see. The cover is not the most fall-like, but the other cover, the US one, I feel is a little bit more. Anyway, and then we have two books that, oh gosh, I'm behind because we're doing a Kings of Sin read along with the book club, and because of various other books that I'm reading and various things in real life, I'm just a little bit behind, so I'm almost done with King of Pride as I'm recording this video. Probably done with it by the time this video goes live. But I'm including King of Greed and King of Sloth in my September TBR because I really want to read them for the read along, even if I'm behind. I cannot tell you what these are about. They are Ana Huang romances though, so expect like smut, tension, probably rich men that are a little bit arrogant but like soft at heart. Secretly softies. I think this one that's the second chance romance, I think, because he's already married. Yeah, Dominic and Alessandra Davenport is basically about him taking her for granted. And then, so second chance, and then we have Xavier Castillo, who is dealing with, or more so his publicist, yes, Sloan, who is dealing with him, because the two of them don't get along, but like she works with him. She's kind of his boss in certain situations. So they just don't get along very well. I can even read this in King of Pride, so we'll see where these books go, but I'm thinking I'll love this one a little bit more than this one because second chance romances are not generally my thing, but it's a bit of a funny one to go into because they're already married. Anyway, these are fun, these are a good time. At least King of Wrath and King of Pride has been so far, and so I'm excited to continue on. Apparently there's going to be 7. I know that there are 7 deadly sins and that's what they're based off of, but also I definitely thought Sloth was going to be Dominic, so I was very confused. I kept confusing the titles a lot. So I thought like he's Sloth because he's not really putting effort into the marriage or something, but I don't know. I think he's King of Greed because he works too much. And I think he's King of Sloth because the publicist is having a hard time getting him to work. So We'll see though, we'll see. So we still have Gluttony, which is going to be an interesting one. Envy and Lust left. And I think Envy is the next one. I can't remember. I know Lust is the last one, but Gluttony and Envy, I'm not really sure. I'm very curious to see how she's going to do Gluttony though, because it's so specific. And I saw some pretty funny, I don't want to repeat in the video because this is going on YouTube, but so I'm gonna like give you as many leads as possible so you can come to your own conclusions. But King of Gluttony, so gluttony, you eat a lot. It's literally about consumption, and if you take that very directly, it's about eating. And it's way too late at night. I should not be talking about this in my video, but I think it's funny. And so, you know, with it being Anna Huang and a lot of like very smutty books, people were talking about like what are they eating? What's the dude going to be? Anyway, I'm done. I thought it was so funny. Just thought I'd leave you with that one. So anyway, I was amused. I wanted to share. But that's about it for this TBR video. So if you want to check out any of the books, they will be linked to in the description box down below. I'll leave links to both Waterstones and also Amazon. So if you're a little bit confused about the synopses, because I know I'm not the greatest at summarizing books, especially when I've not read them. Like, what do you do then? Feel free to check out the books and read the synopses on the websites. I'm gonna go deal with this possible spider problem somehow. I will admit, I took a short break because I was about to cry. So, I'm a grown woman and I had to remind myself that I am a giant next to a spider. Why are you scared? But like, I just am, okay? I am sweating. It's fine. I'm gonna go deal with it because otherwise I cannot relax. So, hope you are though. I really hope you're all relaxing. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit the thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, but also all the other booktube stuff, there will be an Illumicrate unboxing coming up soon at the August box. Still have not received tracking for my Afterlight one, but hopefully it'll arrive at some point. So there'll be an unboxing up very soon. And a wrap up as well, so if that's of any interest, definitely feel free to stick around by clicking on the subscribe button. But I'm gonna leave you to it now. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!